Welcome to Vilnius, the capital of Lithuania and one of the greenest cities in Europe. This is the second part of your guide through Vilnius city, where I'll show you some of the lesser known places to visit outside of the city center. If you want to see all the main attractions of Vilnius city, then go ahead and have a look at my previous video where I show you all that and recommendations where to try Lithuanian cuisine. In this video, I'll show you more of Vilnius neighborhoods, the activities you can do here, the nature inside the city, the regional parks, and even some manor houses inside the city. When you come to Vilnius, you first see its beautiful old town and then maybe the central area with the modern buildings, but there is more to architecture here. If you go to Žvėrynas neighborhood, you will see a lot of wooden houses there. These are perfect examples of old Lithuanian wooden architecture, and the quietness of the neighborhood is a lovely environment for a walk. Žvėrynas also has a few but really good and long-lasting restaurants loved by locals, such as Veranda, Panama Food Garden and Don Simon. Another great thing about Žvėrynas is that you can access Vingis Park across the river, the largest park in the city center. Vingis is the best choice if you want to visit a forest but you are stuck in the city. Situated alongside the curve of Neris River, Vingis Park is a natural haven in the middle of the bustling city. There are many facilities there too, including various rentals. There even is a small botanical garden there. Vingis Park is also where large concerts take place during the summer, transforming this place into a huge arena. I have had my luck attending Imagine Dragons concert here a few years back. Vingis Park connects Žvėrynas with Naujamiestis, an interesting and lively neighborhood of Vilnius. This is where you will find a mix of the early 20th century architecture and the most modern areas, hosting the two unicorn startup companies in Lithuania, Vinted and Nord Security. Naujamiestis is a place to explore while looking for unexpected experiences. There are a lot of good restaurants and cafes around, including, in my opinion, one of the best traditional Lithuanian cuisine restaurants in Vilnius, Senoji Trobelė, and next to it a traditional Samogitian restaurant, Žemaičių Ąsotis. Naujamiestis is also known for interesting graffitis. For that you can visit the Open Gallery, which previously was an industrial factory block, now filled with moving artwork. At the same place there is a bar Loftas, which hosts various concerts and other events. Vilnius train station is not too far from here, and a part of it being the hub for transportation, it has a good bar called Peronas right near the tracks with a giant Tony Soprano sculpture outside. The bar is a bit grungy, has a nostalgic 90s vibe, and also hosts various events. But of course Vilnius has another side to it as well. Not the historic and the modern, but also of the one from the second half of the 20th century, the Soviet. During the Soviet times, the city was growing fast and lots of neighborhoods were built in the infamous Soviet style, with which we still live today. While currently many of the areas are changing quickly, with renovations changing the face of these neighborhoods, some still have the old style about them. Where I'm getting to is that Vilnius is known for being a set for the famous HBO series Chernobyl, and Fabioniškės neighborhood in particular was the depiction of the Pripyat city in Ukraine. It is an interesting place to explore for the fans of the series and those who want to see the other side of the city. Another notable Soviet building in Vilnius is the Palace of Concerts and Sports, built in 1971. It stands right in front of Gediminas Castle on the other side of the river in one of the most prestigious areas in the city. However, it has a complicated history, which is just further displays the atrocities of the Soviet behavior. In order to build this, they destroyed the oldest Jewish cemetery in Vilnius. Today the building is in a limbo state, as the institutions cannot agree what to do with it and how to save the heritage. For more understanding about the Soviet times in Lithuania, you can visit a small museum display called Homo Sovieticus in a nearby Tuskulėnai Manor house. This small manor is right in the middle of the city, and there is a small park with a memorial for the victims of the totalitarian regime. Another place very much related to this, and which is now the symbol of the Lithuanian freedom fight, is the TV Tower of Vilnius. Definitely don't miss visiting this place if you want to have the 360-degree views of the whole city. Vilnius TV Tower is the place where the last freedom fight happened in Lithuania. After declaring independence from the Soviet Union in 1990, Lithuania was again invaded by the Russians on January 1991, and when the Soviet tanks tried to take over the TV tower, hundreds of civilians were standing in their way, ultimately protecting the major broadcasting station and the independence of the country. After this incident, the Soviet army left Lithuania for good. Today, the TV tower is an amazing place to visit. You can learn more about the history of the tower at the ground floor, but at the very top, the vibe is very different. There you will find a restaurant, conference center, and if you want to splurge, even apartments for rent. You can enjoy the city views from the restaurant, but if you want some adrenaline, we have an outdoor glass walkway, as well as possibility to walk right on the edge of the tower too. One neighborhood in Vilnius stands out as a new way of designing cities. It is Paupys, next to the Old Town and Užupis. This is the newest neighborhood in the city, and it is designed to have everything one would need in walking distance. It has lots of boutique shops, cafes, a local cinema, and cool-looking food court Paupys Market, which can feel like an oasis in the colder months. At the same time, the whole neighborhood is situated at the banks of Vilnius River, and it is a very lovely quiet area, great for a walk by the river or a bike ride. Since I have already mentioned Vilnius River, it's time to explore the natural areas of the city. Vilnius is full of greenery, and there even are 2 regional parks inside the city. One of them is called Pavilniai, and it consists of Vilnius River Valley and surrounding hills. Pavilniai is one of the most scenic natural areas in the city, with a lot to see for nature lovers. Probably the most popular and easy way to enjoy the park is to go to Pučkoriai walking trail. It leads through the most picturesque places of Vilnius River Valley. Here you can see Pučkoriai Hill Fort, ruins of an old cannon foundry, and Vilnius River Dam, which has a beautiful waterfall. But the most famous place of the route and the whole Pavilniai Regional Park is Pučkoriai Outcrop. It is the tallest outcrop in the country at 65 meters in height, and its width is around 260 meters. The views from the top are amazing, with the river valley and the forest below. You can reach this place by choosing the longest trail route, which is around 5 kilometers long. The shorter routes are way easier but only lead to the bottom of the outcrop. A great place to stop for a break here on a good day is in Belmontas, next to the river dam. It has beautiful gardens and a restaurant serving traditional food. Although while the views there are amazing, the restaurant service is not that great. Overall, Pučkoriai walking trail is probably the most popular trail in the city, and for a good reason. I have also had countless walks here. I come here every time I get a chance. It is especially beautiful in autumn, when the leaves turn golden. For more challenging walking trails, you can go to Ribiškės in Liepkalnis or Sapieginė in Antakalnis, which have lots of hills and valleys very close to urban areas. Ribiškės trail is situated at the other end of a regional park, close to the airport. The trail is 6 kilometers long, but it is probably the toughest trail in Vilnius. It has so many steep hills to climb. I only came there 2 times for a walk with my son. It is definitely a workout. But the views from the hills are very rewarding. And it would be very hard to believe that you're still in Vilnius city, especially at the valleys, where there are village roads and only a few houses here and there. Also, next to this path, there is Liepkalnis, the ski slopes with great views of Vilnius and the regional park below. Another great way to explore the beautiful nature of Pavilniai Regional Park is by having a kayaking trip. I did it 2 times and it was some great time spent in both nature and the city. The route starts at the outskirts of the city, passes by the famous Pučkoriai outcrop, Paupys and Užupis neighborhoods, and ends right in the city center by the White Bridge. I definitely recommend that if you like water activities, but I must mention that the route is not for beginners, as the river is shallow and has a lot of rocks and fallen trees. But last week I managed to do this route with my 7-year-old in the kayak without flipping into the water. The other regional park in Vilnius is quite different from this one. Verkiai Regional Park protects beautiful lakes, forests, and even a manor house. Situated in the north of Vilnius, Verkiai Regional Park doesn't have tall hills like Pavilniai. Instead, it is famous for its lakes with a naturally greenish color. In Lithuanian, they are just called the Green Lakes, Žalieji ežerai. One of these lakes, named Balsys, is the local favorite beach destination inside the city bounds. The best way to reach it is by public transport, as the parking is very limited there. But keep in mind that there still is quite a walk from the bus stop to the beach there. The beach area there is lovely, and there are a lot of sports facilities such as basketball and volleyball pitches. The lakeside is very popular for picnics and barbecues, and on a good day it is hard to get a free table there. Personally, I prefer visiting this lake outside of the bathing season, when it is mostly empty and the lake is most serene in those days, as usually I just prefer a walk in nature. There are lots of trails in the surrounding pine tree forests, especially liked by cyclists. There is a trail around the main lake too. There are some cognitive trails too, situated by the river Neris, like the Old Villages route, which is around 10 kilometers long. Actually, there are a few more beaches by the river Neris, which are more easily reached from the city center by public transport or even by bike. The riverside beaches also have great facilities for picnics, barbecue, and for sports, including volleyball pitches, public paddle, and tennis courts. Another place which is great for shorter walks is the Way of the Cross, Vilnius Kalvarijos. The forest park, which is dedicated to the Way of the Cross, is a popular pilgrimage site with chapels all across the Way of the Cross. There also are beautiful old churches with monasteries at both ends of the way. But it is not necessary to follow the pilgrimage route to enjoy the park. Since it is situated at an easy reach from the residential areas, it is very popular for quiet, casual walks too. It was one of my favorite places for a walk when I lived in a nearby area. There also is a trail connecting this path to one of the most famous places of the regional park, Verkiai Manor house. It is a lovely house from the classical era, built in the 18th century at the edge of a tall hill. The manor was designed by the famous architects of the era, Martynas Knakfusas and Laurynas Stuoka-Gucevičius. These days, the visitors can enjoy only the exteriors of the palace, as interiors are used by the Lithuanian Botany Research Institute. But the park of the manor is actually the place where everyone goes to. It is a nice place for a walk, and this is where many local celebrations take place too, including the Midsummer Festival. The Manor Park has really beautiful views from the top of the hill, especially at its observational deck, where you can see Neris River and forest below, with the city in the distance. Right next to the entrance of the manor, there also is the visitor center of both of Verkiai and Pavilniai regional parks. Also, if you go down the hill, there is a particularly lovely place hiding by the river Neris. It is the manor's old watermill turned into a restaurant, which has quite a good menu by the way, and very calming surrounding nature. The little water stream is short but scenic. It is full of rocks and has a few waterfalls from the watermills too. It is easy to forget here that you're still in the city. If you want a more extensive walking trail system of the city, there is an amazing initiative done in Vilnius. All these places I have mentioned so far are connected by a single trail stretching 100 kilometers all around the city. And that's exactly what it's called, 100 kilometers around Vilnius. The trail is marked by little red signs and takes you everywhere from the Castle Hill to Pavilniai and Verkiai regional parks, Vingis Park, TV Tower, and more. A really good part of this trail is that each section is reachable by public transport. But there are two more really beautiful places in Vilnius that stand outside this trail and situated at the very outskirts of the city, but still are wonderful places to visit. One of them is Vilnius University Žvėrynas Botanical Garden, situated in the east, way behind the student neighborhood of Saulėtekis. If you like gardens and botany, this is a wonderful place to visit. The park is huge and beautifully arranged. It is also situated in a historical area. There used to be a manor house here, and there still are some old buildings left, but not the main house. There is a restaurant in one of those buildings. The Botanical Garden is one of the most beautiful natural areas to explore in Vilnius, and I have come here many times too. There is plenty of space for relaxation and picnics. In winter, the garden turns its path into cross-country skiing tracks, and after dark it has a lantern park. One of my favorite parts of the park is the Japanese Garden, a lovely oasis with a pond in the center. By the way, Vilnius has 2 more Japanese gardens, both much newer than this one. There is a tiny Japanese garden in Antakalnis, hidden away from the main street near the famous church of Saints Peter and Paul. The tiny park is squeezed in between 2 residential buildings, a true hidden oasis by the riverside. Another Japanese garden, the most recent one, is situated at the central business area. It is still young but has lots of growth potential and a unique children's playground. Anyway, let's go back to the outskirts of the city, this time at the opposite side, in the southwest on the way to Trakų. It is an area almost considered to be not Vilnius anymore. Trakų Vokė, it is on the very edge of the city. And quite unexpectedly, here hides a beautiful manor house. Trakų Vokė Manor was built in early 19th century and belonged to the Counts Tiškevičiai, who ruled a lot of manors around the country. The manor is open for visiting, where often are concerts and exhibitions held here. During weekends, a small cafe is open here too, a lovely spot to relax at the manor. Trakų Vokė also has a wonderful park surrounding the house. It was designed in the 19th century by Edouard François André, a famous French landscape architect, who also designed other Tiškevičiai manor parks in Lithuania, including one in Užutrakis nearby, and the one in Palanga, which is considered to be one of the most beautiful parks in the country. Fun fact, Trakų Vokė Manor was used as a filming location for HBO series Catherine the Great. This is where I'll leave you today. I think I have told you about most of the interesting places around the city and hope that this has been useful to you. If you didn't watch my first video about Vilnius yet, then don't forget to check it out after this one. Also, if you want even more, my next video after this one will be about Vilnius district, where I will show you even more places to visit which are surrounding Vilnius city. Stay tuned for more travel videos about Lithuania, and thanks for watching.